think we have to lead with Jimmy, because if the Niners even get, a B- game from Garoppolo today, I think they probably win pretty handily. There were so many missed opportunities. Debo would have gone untouched on a pass play if he even saw the guy, how wide open he was. He missed Debo on another play where if he throws it out in front of him, he's gone, and he just kind of lofts it up in the air, and Debo has to kind of catch it and fall on his backside out of bounds. There were lots of missed opportunities. I know the Garoppolo apologists will say, "Oh yeah, he didn't have a training camp," and I totally get that. But this guy's a vet. He's like, he doesn't really need that kind of those kind of reps that are really sort of meaningless. But man, he had the opportunity on national TV, because I know you were paying attention to the national media, because when Trey went down last week, so many people went on podcasts and sports shows and said Niners are the better team with Jimmy at quarterback. There was stuff about, secret X40, secret player in the locker room who remains anonymous. This is good for the team. He's happy. That means he's going to get the ball. Now we're judging on who that is. That stuff is pretty meaningless to us as the Bay Area fans, because we've been through this dance. But man, if Jimmy G did not show the national media, the national football audience today, why the 49ers paid so much to get Trey Lance, I don't know what to tell them, because he put it all on display today. He showed every little thing that has been driving us nuts for the last few years, and it was all on display. It was like the Jimmy roulette wheel. You had the safety where he steps out of bounds. You had the interception in the fourth quarter, which 49er fans understand this. We knew it was coming. We just didn't know when.
Right.
If you're not a 49er fan, we knew this was coming. We were waiting for it. We were hoping that he got it out of the way early because we knew it was coming. But he put it all on display. This was the Jimmy special of all Jimmy specials, and I just look at this and go, man, we are stuck with this for another 14 games, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I know you and I are going to, what we're going to do, which is talk a lot about it, but we had an opportunity to try and turn that over and go in a different way. And unfortunately, Trey Lance got hurt, and we're stuck with Jimmy.
See, I was hoping we wouldn't start here, because it's problematic for me, because I am viewed by many as a Jimmy hater, which is just not the case. I would, if you're gonna put a label on me, I would label myself a Jimmy realist.
Yeah.
And I could not have said it better myself. It was all on display. It was all there. And again, we found ourselves in a situation at the end of the game, and I'm honest, to be 100% honest with you, I had no faith that we were going to get the 50 yards or whatever we needed to get a field goal to win that game. I just don't have any faith in high leverage situations in Jimmy Garoppolo at this point. For what? Why would I? Why would I? So that was the thing with Trey, was that, okay, I understood that when you go to a 22-year-old, there are going to be ups and downs, and there are going to be bad performances.
Yeah.
But what you hope is that, one, with his athleticism, we could get more than one. We could make more than one play on third down. Yeah. That's number one. And then number two, that as the season went on, he could work himself into a place that in high leverage situations, again, he would be able to make plays. If nothing else in this offense, you have to be able to convert on third down, because you have to be able to move the change.
They got one. What were they, 1 of 10, something like that tonight?
It was like something like that, 1 of 10. And then that one wasn't until late, that last drive. Um, but we have to be able to move the ball, run the ball, and move the chains and get the time of possession. If we were out, I think it was we were out snapped by what was it, 18? We can't we can't put our defense in that position. That they're not built for that. They are built to be able to put pressure and get after the quarterback and wreak havoc. They're not a team that's supposed to be out there for 10, 12, 15 plays at a time. They're
Mhm.
trying to get guys off. And you don't, if even when they do their job, if the offense is giving the ball right back, it's just that's just not how we're built to play. So it really is frustrating because we've got 14 more games of this, and you would hope that it would get better, but I don't see how that's going to happen. I mean, he has to get better, and
Yeah.
I don't know that that's fair to ask him to be. That was the narrative going through this week. It's Kyle's fault. He's oppressed Jimmy, and that's why he if he would just get some freedom, he would be he would be a different player.
So go back to 2017 because that's where he went back to, right?
Right.
For those few games in 2017, I think we all said, "Oh my gosh, like he's got a little bit of a gunslinger mentality in him, and he's gonna make some mistakes, but he's gonna hit on some big plays." And so that's what we were teased in 18 or in 17. Then in 18, he goes down immediately and he's gone for the entire season. Comes back in 19. We are told that it's a different version of him. He doesn't have the mobility. Kyle plays it way conservative, which is probably the right way because they go to the Super Bowl and they're within a play or two of winning that game before Kansas City kind of puts it out of reach, and then gets hurt again, and then comes back in 21, and again, like sort of like this conservative style. I don't know if it was the right way that they handled it, but he did show that, he wasn't making those big throws that would give Kyle, the idea that he should open it up. But I get where he is in that, like, that's how he wants to play. He had the opportunity to show that and he didn't. Now, some of this, and we'll get into this a little bit later, some of this is that offensively, these teams are like carbon copies of each other because this offense is basically Shanahan's offense.
Hmm.
And so their defense, the Denver defense, is sharpening themselves going against their own offense, which is basically the 49ers offense. So they were going to know each other very well no matter what. And we should have actually seen this coming a little bit more, I think. Like, I thought it was going to be a little bit more of a high scoring game, but because once I started reading up, I'm like, oh, like these teams are going to know each other real well. It's going to be close, probably low scoring. I just thought the quarterback play would be a little bit better. But here's the point that I want to make about Trey. There's a moment in this game where Denver's like, oh, all we got to do is sell out against the rush, and they can't do anything.
Right.
They had five down linemen many times, and the Niners are so rush heavy, and they're killing the rush. They're stopping the rush, which means second and third and long. That is the kryptonite for Jimmy Garoppolo, is second or third and long. He wants to sit second and 5, third and 3, run a little play action here. Boom, Kittle. Like, that's how they want to play football. So when Denver decided to sell out, in the back of my mind, I was like, this is what Kyle knew was coming. This is why Trey being able to have the option to run is so necessary in this offense. Now, I know that you know that, but it just like hit me like just like a bolt of lightning. Like, oh my God, like this is why they went after this guy, because in games like this, when they cannot run the ball, they're having some offensive line issues, and we'll talk about that in a little bit. So it's one of my points. Jimmy being Jimmy hurts them more than helps them.
I thought that Collinsworth and the NBC production staff did a great job of highlighting how actually in game Denver was changing and adjusting their fronts to optimize versus the run.
Yeah.
They started with one front and with the and they switched to two linebackers and they brought Keywan down. And they were looking for what they needed to to um load up versus the run. And like you said, once they dialed that in, it was like we didn't have a counter to get them out of it. Again, I think it's asking a lot at this point to expect Jimmy to be a downfield thrower consistently, but we have to. I mean, because that's your answer. If a team is going to bring safeties down and sell out versus the run, you need to be able to at least. And he did it once to Ayuk. You just gotta even if you don't plan on completing it, you have to show that you're willing to at least throw it.
Yes.
Because I mean, if you're not gonna be able to run them out of it, which it was clear that we couldn't, you got to throw them out of it or make them pay for doing it. And yeah, I know I have I have a higher opinion and more faith in Kyle than most.
Yeah.
But so
I didn't feel bad for him, but I felt, I was like, okay, he feels handicapped here.
Right.
Because he could dial up something, and if it doesn't work, it could be a big mistake and turnover on the other side, and then you can lose the game that way. Such as calling for the field goal late there when people were calling for the to go for it on fourth down, and Kyle's looking at it as like, this game is 7-5 or whatever it was at that point. Like, points are at a minimum. Like, we need to just get them where we get them. But I think if he had any sort of confidence in not only Garoppolo but the line, he may have gone, because it's more of a Kyle play to go for it than to not go for it. But
right.
So I set that up because I wanted to bring Shelvin's note in here, which I think is also something that people are going to say. And I guess the question for me, and I'll read Shelvin's note. Shelvin said Jimmy has issues, but he'd rather have him than Sudfeld. Our season is over if Jimmy had left, so meaning we would have Sudfeld and Purdy as the QBs. So the question is, are we happy with the Niners being a 9-8 team, 10-7 team, knowing that there's a small chance of actually winning the Super Bowl with this kind of defense? And I guess you would say, yeah, because anything can happen. We've seen Jimmy go on hot streaks before. I don't have faith in him to produce when it matters. But at the same time, if he's not there, then it's Brock Purdy time. Now, I mean, people keep saying, oh, this guy, he has it. And I'm like, he was the last guy picked in the draft. Like, that has to mean something. I don't know about throwing a rookie out there who's the last pick in the draft as the solution. So we're kind of stuck with what we have and just sort of hopeful that Jimmy doesn't get hurt, because we can be competitive with him. It's just we're going to have games like this where we lose games that we should have clearly won.
Okay, there's a lot there. One, yes. Are we better off with Jimmy than with Nate Sudfeld? Yes. My issue is, as I was sitting there watching the game, my thought was, what needs to happen is there needs to be an adjustment of expectations, just like when any other QB2 takes over the team. Again, full disclosure, I don't have much faith in Jimmy.
Mhm.
So I wasn't with the national media who felt like, oh, the season is actually saved now because Jimmy is there. Nah, I am a lot less optimistic today than I was 2 weeks ago about the season long prospects.
Mhm.
I do agree with Shelvin that yes, Jimmy Garoppolo is a better quarterback than Nate Sudfeld. Yes, absolutely, 100%. But and also Brock Purdy, however much potential he's shown, has never prepared a week for
Yeah.
a real live game. Brock Purdy has never had a defense actually game plan against him. So, I mean,
Imagine him and Jalen Moore on the field at the same time, both
oh,
deer in headlights. That would have been
oh,
tough.